Hi, how you doing? This is Tom McGivern, and this is the Not Just Real Estate podcast. Without Colleen today, but I figured I'd dive in here on a topic that's kind of important. And, I gave this some thought about why you hire a real estate agent. Let me first say that I'm a licensed broker associate with Douglas Solomon, and we're an equal housing broker. So I was thinking about this, and I was talking to somebody, and we were going over why do you hire a real estate agent? And really, there's two reasons. You hire them for two reasons. One, you want them to market the property, so they're a marketing tool. And the second is they're going to negotiate for you. Those are the core aspects of why you hire a real estate agent. There's many other reasons, okay? But, everyone has their own reasons. But at the core of it, that's why we exist, to market homes and to negotiate, okay? And I looked up the definition of negotiate, and it's to deal or bargain with another or others, as in the preparation of a contract or preliminaries to a business deal. Basically, to deal with or bargain with others to get a deal done. And when you hire an agent, let's say, based on a lot of people look at the commission, all right? And why do you hire a real estate agent at 6 or 7% versus a real estate agent paying them 4%? And now I'm not going to get into commissions or who charges what. I'm just going to kind of go over this in these terms, because proving marketing is easy, right? So with marketing, a brand, A, B, and C broker, they can all give you a marketing plan. Where do they advertise? What websites will it be on? What will the listing look like? What do their previous listings look like? Where what websites are they on? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? They'll give you a marketing strategy. Anyone can do that. But then there's negotiating, and you think, well, how does one prove that they negotiate better? So, because now I'm the consumer, and I'm going to determine, hey, who do I hire, and what do I base it on? Because those are the two reasons I'm hiring them at the core of what it is we do. The thing that I'm looking at is, I'll look at the marketing plan, because they'll definitely be different. The marketing plans of, brand A versus brand B versus brand C, there will be differences. So you need to look at those, okay? Then you're going to look at, let's go to the results of those marketing efforts, okay? What are they selling? How many homes have they sold, et cetera, et cetera? That's how you kind of prove the results end of the marketing, right? Well, it's the same with negotiating. But even then, it's going to be tough. So let me dive in here. So if I'm going to prove the marketing, we already know how we're going to do that, and that's pretty self-explanatory and easy to determine. But the way negotiating is proven is tough, and the first way you can prove negotiating is at the initial appointment itself. And what I mean by that is, if you have a real estate agent, you can even determine it prior to the appointment. Because if you're looking online and you see a company, a cheap broker that is saying, hey, I'll list it for you for a flat fee on MLS and put it up there, and you do everything and you just pay me a flat fee, if they do that, that's in and of itself letting you know that their negotiating skills probably aren't, that great. Okay, they don't believe in the value of a real estate agent. You're going to negotiate the entire deal, and it makes sense for some people to do that. I know they also have, websites that do it a la carte. So that's like one thing you can choose, or you can choose 2% or 3% or 5% commissions, etc. And then they kind of a la carte their services, and that's all fine and good. Again, we'll get to how you prove negotiating, at least to the best of someone's ability. But I think at the initial appointment itself, when you look at the agent who says, I call it, I just said the agent who just, lays up and takes, let's say, a 4% commission. They're, in and of itself, they're proving their negotiating skills. Because what they're doing there is like how I look at it is I value my time and money, my money and the money of my consumer, the client. The agent who does a 4% commission, in my opinion, is not appreciating neither of those. They're not appreciating their time or their own money. Okay? And therefore, it's impossible for them to negotiate on behalf of a third party when they can't even negotiate their own money. That point right there is glaringly obvious. So the next thing, and that in itself, that's very valuable for me when I look at that. If I'm sitting there and trying to just say, someone asks me over the phone and I just say 4% or 3% or 2%, like, there's no value there. You need to build value into what you do, which is the next thing. So now I could say negotiate, but let's talk about the stats. Stats is another way. Stats is a great way to show somebody, hey, these are my results. I can show you an average listing price versus an average sales price of my own listing inventory, not the buyer side sales. If I'm representing a buyer, it's a different transaction. When I'm representing the listing side, that's what you really want. You want a listing agent who is an expert at listing houses. So the average list price versus the average sales price. I'll give you an example. Let's say my average list price is $585,000. And I tell you that my average sales price in writing on statistics via the multiple listing service is $579,000. That's a pretty good listing price average versus sale price. That lets you know that I'm selling the home within basically 1% or 1.5% of the list price. That's very good. That shows a couple of things. They know how to list the home, how to price the home, how to market it, and then how to negotiate the deal. But even then, let's say I did that and I showed that to somebody, they still might struggle with okay, it's a stat, big deal. How do you negotiate? So I can only do that. I can give you an example, okay? And this is my example. You hire, Joe Schmo, okay? And if there's a Joe Schmo out there, this is not for you. I'm using that as a term, okay? So if there's a Joe Schmo who's a real estate agent, this is not about you, all right? So Joe Schmo, you hire Joe Schmo, and they get a phone call, and that phone call is from an agent. The agent says, hey, Joe, I saw your listing on 123 ABC Street. I was thinking of showing it. I got a question for you. How negotiable are they? Now, let's say the asking price is $450,000, and Joe just says, oh, yeah, no, they're flexible. It's real estate. Everything's negotiable. Okay, that's all he says. Now, that's the conversation. And then it goes on, whatever. It doesn't matter after that. When I list someone's home, okay, I pay attention very closely to my fiduciary responsibilities. And they are care, confidentiality, loyalty, obedience, accountability, and disclosure. Okay? So in that conversation, that quick conversation, hey, an agent wants to see the house. Hey, Joe's doing his marketing, right? His marketing got an agent to call. But then when he called, they asked him a question and he gave them an answer. Now the backdrop to that is now if Joe went to his client who's asking $450,000 and said, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I know we're asking $450,000. How negotiable are you? And can I convey that to prospective buyers and their agents when they call me? And if they say, yes, you can, then he could say, okay, would you mind if I say that everything's negotiable in real estate and they're somewhat flexible? Is that okay with you? And they say, sure it is. Then he'd be okay with that. Okay, I would still handle the call a different way, and I'll get to that. But if he doesn't do that, he just violated care, confidentiality, loyalty, and obedience, accountability, right? All of those, he violated his fiduciary responsibility in that simple example. Now, an incoming call, I get these all the time, agent calls. You don't always get the question, how negotiable are they? But you do get it a lot. So somebody calls me and says, hey, Tom, I saw your listing on ABC Street. I wanted to show it. I just had a question, how negotiable or flexible are the sellers? Well, I would say what I always say. Oh, great. Can I have your name? Right, and clarify their name. And I say, are you a buyer's agent or a broker's agent? They tell me what they are. Okay, and we're not going to get into buyer and broker agency, but there's a big difference as a real estate agent when you're talking with agents. So they tell me, how am I a buyer's agent? Great. The buyers, are they pre-approved for a mortgage or are they paying cash? Okay, now that stops there. Now, I'm determining whether or not I'm going to have any conversation with this agent based upon the fact that why would I tell an agent, even if my client said, hey, Tom, we're flexible, we want to sell. Great. Well, can I convey that to buyers or their agents when they call? Sure you can. Okay, great. I would still handle the call the same exact way. Why? Because I don't want to give up any information to anybody about anything when I'm not trying to negotiate for my client. Right? I have to have care for my client. All right? I'm caring. You're hiring me to care about your listing, your money. So I handle it the same exact way. Determine who I'm negotiating with or having a chat with. Are they representing the buyer's interests, or are they a broker's agent representing the seller's interests? And even then, I'll still navigate those waters because they are another real estate agent. I'm not going to give up the farm either way. And then I want to know, hey, do they have a pre-approval? Because if they don't, like, why am I even having a conversation? If they say, oh, no, they're not getting, they haven't had a pre-approval yet, I would say, hey, you know what? Whatever their name is, Joe, listen, why don't you do this? Before we have a conversation about how flexible clients are, why don't you guys focus on getting getting them pre-approved, and then maybe show the property, and then we can go from there, okay? This is a huge difference in how I attend to the fiduciary responsibilities. Those responsibilities, by the way, they're like genius, okay? And I didn't make them up. They are from New York State, okay? They're from the National Association of Realtors. They're from like just basic. That is very good because it helps you if you understand care, confidentiality, loyalty, obedience, accountability, and disclosure. If you, as a real estate agent, understand and have a concept, a basic understanding of the concept of that helps you negotiate. It helped me negotiate. It helps me to learn how to deal or bargain with another or others in the preparation of what? A possible contract. So this entire podcast is basically, why do you hire a real estate agent? You hire them to market your home and then to negotiate for you. And if you're going to determine whether you're going to hire an agent at 4% or versus 7%, listen, if you know a great real estate agent, I mean, that you know them personally, and you know that they're going to, I guess they have great stats and everything else, and they're going to charge a 4% fee, then that's great, okay? Hire them. That's not me, but you have to find them. I don't know who they are. I don't really know too many real estate agents out there that I don't know what they charge. But the 4% fee to me as a person, as a business person, doesn't appreciate my time or my money. Okay, because I have to pay the broker, I have to pay the IRS. Okay, I have to pay for the marketing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the lower I go on the commission, it becomes less valuable for me to be able to support my business. And that's why I don't charge 4%. If I could, oh man, absolutely I would. All right? But my point is, without getting into the specifics of what to pay a real estate agent, okay, forget about that. If you get somebody who's great at negotiating and they can prove to you their average list price versus sale price, and they know what care, confidentiality, loyalty, obedience, accountability, disclosure, what those things are, I mean, that's great. Man, they really got their stuff. And they get willing to, execute that at a 4% or a commission that's really suitable to you, you knocked it out of the park. That's great. If not, and you are thinking about selling or buying a house, or selling a house in this case, I mean, give me a call. I'd love to sit down. The fee is a fair fee based on the fact that I know how to market and I know how to negotiate and I understand my fiduciary responsibilities to my clients. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for listening. Again, my number is 631-831-9048. Feel free to reach out to me. My name's Tom McGivern. Thanks a lot.